My mother-in-law secretly performed a DNA test on my 3 children and called me trash when she discovered that the eldest was not my husband's, but she should have waited to know the truth. I am Laura, I am 43 years old, and I have been married to Davis, who is 46 years old for 23 years. We have 3 children: Angie, who is 17 years old, Jack, who is 15 years old, and Sammy, who is 8 years old. 2 nights ago, my mother-in-law, Karen, who is 68 years old, invited us to dinner just to drop a bombshell that has shattered the peace of our family. Davis and I struggled for years to have our first child. We met in college, got married at 22 years old, and started trying immediately. Month after month, nothing happened. After 3 years, we went to a fertility specialist, who diagnosed me with polycystic ovary syndrome. The doctor prescribed me medications to help me ovulate regularly. At that time, in vitro fertilization was not an option for us. We both worked entry-level jobs and did not have that much money for it. The medications seemed to work. My cycles became more regular, and the doctor instructed us to track my ovulation and schedule our attempts accordingly. We felt hopeful for the first time in years. Then something terrible happened. Davis worked night shifts at a warehouse back then. His brother Mike often picked him up because we only had one car. One night in April, while Davis was working, someone broke into our house. I was alone, watching television in our bedroom, when I heard glass breaking downstairs. Before I could call 911, a man with a mask entered our bedroom. He had a knife. What happened next is something I have tried to forget for years. The man robbed our house, but he also attacked me. He sexually assaulted me. After he left, I called 911. The police came, took my statement, and I went to the hospital. The nurse gave me emergency contraception. I took it, even though I knew it could interfere with my fertility medication and our plans to conceive. I had no other choice. The police never caught the man, the case was closed, and I tried to move on with my life. 3 months after the attack, I started feeling sick every morning. I lost my appetite and felt depressed all the time. I thought it was depression from the trauma. Davis suggested I take a pregnancy test, just in case. I did, not expecting anything. When 2 lines appeared, we thought the fertility medications had finally worked. At my first doctor's appointment, the doctor did an ultrasound and told me I was 15 weeks pregnant, not 8 weeks, as we had calculated based on when we thought conception occurred. The timing perfectly coincided with the attack. I had had some irregular bleeding after taking the emergency contraception, which I confused with periods, altering our timeline. Davis and I had a long and difficult conversation that night. I offered to terminate the pregnancy, but neither of us wanted that. We saw our baby on the ultrasound screen. It was our child, no matter how conception occurred. We made a pact. We would raise this child as our own. Davis said he did not care about biology. He would be this baby's father in every way that mattered. We decided not to do a paternity test. We would tell our child the truth when they were older, and they would decide if they wanted to know more. 9 months later, Angie was born. She was perfect. Davis cut the umbilical cord. He held her first. No one could have loved her more. A year later, I got pregnant with Jack quickly and easily. This reinforced our hope that Angie might actually be Davis's biological daughter, despite the timing. Sammy arrived 7 years after Jack. 2 years ago, the police called. They had caught the man who attacked me. His DNA matched tests from several unsolved cases, including mine. Last year, he was finally convicted. I gave a victim impact statement at the hearing. Davis came with me to support me. Our older children knew that I had been attacked before Angie was born, but they did not know all the details or that the attack could be related to Angie's conception. The man received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. The trial was closed, with limited information made public. Davis and I thought we could finally put all of this behind us. Night after the sentencing, Davis drank more than usual. He told his brother Mike some details of the case that he had not shared before. Mike apparently told his wife about this conversation, and Karen, Davis's mother, overheard part of it. She knew about the robbery and that I had been attacked, but she did not know it was a sexual assault. Based on what she heard, Karen concluded that I must have cheated on Davis. Last Christmas, Karen gave Angie a 23andMe DNA test kit. No one else received one, only Angie. I thought it was strange, but I did not pay much attention to it. Angie was confused by the gift and offered it to me, since I am adopted, and had mentioned wanting to know my genetic origins. I gave Angie an Amazon card of the same value. In the months after Christmas, I noticed Karen making strange comments about Angie's appearance. She asked things like, Where did Angie get her eye color from, or why she was so tall and thin when neither Davis nor I had that physique? Angie is 1.8 meters tall and athletic, while Davis and I are of average height and rather stout. Our younger children look more like Davis. Angie also noticed the comments and asked me why her grandmother was being so critical lately. I asked Karen about it, but she said it was nothing, just grandmotherly things. 2 nights ago, Karen invited Davis and me to dinner. She specifically asked us to leave the children at home because she had something important to discuss. We went, expecting perhaps a health issue or something about her will. During dinner, Karen handed us each an envelope. Inside were the results of a DNA comparison. When I asked what they were, Karen looked at me with hatred and told me I was trash that she had always suspected. She had compared Davis's DNA with Angie's. The results showed no paternal match. Davis looked devastated. I called Karen an insensitive witch and we left immediately. I blocked her number on my phone. I left it up to Davis if he wanted to block her on his phone. The next day, Karen called Davis. He went to her house after work. She tried to justify her actions, saying she heard Mike talking about Davis's doubts and assumed I had cheated on him. She urged him to leave me. Davis told her she had no right to interfere in our lives in such a destructive way. He told her he would cut off contact with her. To counter her version that I had cheated on him, Davis revealed the whole truth. I had been sexually assaulted, and that could have been how Angie was conceived. Karen tried to apologize after learning the truth, but Davis refused to accept it. He told her not to contact us anymore. Davis came home that night upset and hurt. He said he had always known it was a possibility that Angie was not biologically his, but he preferred not to confirm it. What hurt him the most was that his own mother had gone behind our backs, performed the test on our daughter without consent, and revealed everything in the cruelest way possible. I called my siblings to tell them what had happened, and that we would no longer have contact with Karen. Most of them supported our decision completely. 2 of my 7 siblings, along with Mike, said that although Karen's methods were wrong, they could understand why she acted that way, given that she thought I had cheated on him. I disagreed. Nothing justified what Karen did. Now we face the hardest part, telling Angie the truth. We have all been in therapy since Karen's attack. Davis and I see therapists individually, and the children attend periodically. I scheduled an emergency session with our family therapist to help us tell Angie. I hated that we had to do it now according to Karen's timeline, instead of when Angie was older and ready to hear it. Angie took the news better than we expected. She said she was not upset that we had not told her, but she was bothered that the information was forced on her before she was ready to know it. She thanked me for sharing something so painful from my past. Our relationship has not changed. If anything, she and Davis have grown closer. She has been spending more time with him, going fishing and working together on his old car, things they both enjoy. We also told the whole story to Jack, and Sammy only knows that Angie has a different biological father. Karen obtained the DNA samples from items left at her house during the children's overnight stays, toothbrushes, hairbrushes. Angie never voluntarily provided a sample. Due to the unreliable method Karen used, Davis and I decided to do an official DNA test. The results confirmed what Karen had found. Davis is not Angie's biological father. Angie is our daughter. She was conceived in violence but raised with love. Davis has been her father in every meaningful way since before she was born. We are getting through this together as a family. We maintain 0 contact with Karen. Some wounds heal, but others leave scars that remind us of what we have survived. Update 1. It has been 3 weeks since I posted about my mother-in-law revealing the DNA test results. Many things have happened, and I wanted to update everyone who offered their support and advice. The day after my post, Karen showed up at our house unannounced. Davis was at work and I was at home with Sammy. Angie and Jack were at school. I saw her car pulling into the driveway. I told Sammy to go play in her room and not come down until I called her. Karen knocked on the door holding a large gift basket. I opened the door, but I stood firm in the doorway, blocking her entry. She tried to give me the basket, saying she wanted to apologize in person. The basket contained expensive chocolates, wine, and a card. I refused to accept it. Karen started crying, saying she had made a terrible mistake and wanted to make things right. She assured me that she never meant to hurt Angie or destroy our family. She only wanted to protect her son from being cheated on. I told her that her actions showed exactly who she was. Someone who cared more about biology than the 17 years Davis spent raising and loving Angie. Someone who would violate the privacy and trust of our family. Someone who would call me trash in front of my husband. Karen tried to explain that she did not know anything about the sexual assault, that she only thought it was another robbery. If she had known, she would never have done what she did. She begged me to let her see her grandchildren, especially since Angie now needed all the family support she could get. That comment infuriated me. Angie did not need family support as if there was something wrong with her. She needed protection from people who would harm her, as Karen had done. I told Karen to leave and not come back. As Karen was heading to her car, Angie arrived home. Angie froze when she saw her grandmother. Karen ran toward Angie with her arms outstretched. I stepped between them and told Angie to go inside. Angie looked at Karen with hatred in her eyes before walking in without saying a word. Karen called out to her, asking for forgiveness and telling her that she loved her no matter what. Angie did not look back. That night, Angie told us that Karen had been texting her all day, asking to talk. Angie had ignored the messages, but she felt uncomfortable. We helped Angie block Karen's number and reported the situation to Angie's therapist. 2 days later, Mike called Davis. He said that Karen was shattered and that our refusal to let her apologize was cruel. Davis told Mike that Karen had lost the right to be part of our lives when she decided to interfere in such a destructive way. Mike revealed something disturbing. Karen had not only compared Angie's DNA with Davis's. Somehow, she had obtained samples from all 3 children and compared them. Jack's and Sammy's tests confirmed that Davis was their father. Karen had planned to use this information to convince Davis that I had cheated on him specifically about Angie, while being faithful during the other pregnancies. This information made Davis even angrier. Karen had not only violated Angie's privacy, but also that of all our children. A week after Karen's visit, Angie came home from school upset. Several of her classmates were treating her differently. One girl asked if Angie was the product of a rape, and if that made her half criminal. Angie was devastated. We discovered that Karen had told her church prayer group about Angie's true paternity, supposedly asking for prayers for our family during this difficult time of revelation. Someone from the group had a daughter at Angie's school and the information spread. Davis called Karen that night. It was the only time I have heard him yell. He told her that she had betrayed Angie in the worst way possible, spreading private information that was not hers to share. He told her that if she ever tried to contact any member of our family again, we would file for a restraining order. Karen's response was to send a mass email to family members, including my siblings, claiming that Davis and I were punishing her for telling the truth and keeping her away from her grandchildren. She painted herself as a victim and suggested that my instability, due to my traumatic past, was making Davis turn against his own mother. Most family members ignored the email or responded privately to tell Karen that she had gone too far. But my sister-in-law, Bate, married to my brother, forwarded the email to me with a note suggesting we were being too harsh on Karen. She said that Karen was elderly and had made a mistake out of love for her son. I responded to Bate with a detailed account of exactly what Karen had done. I asked Bate how she would feel if someone did that to her daughter. Bate apologized and said she did not know the whole story. Davis and I decided to meet with the school counselor and the principal of Angie's school. We explained the situation in general terms, that private family information had been shared without our consent, and it was leading to harassment. The school was very supportive and addressed the issue immediately, speaking with the involved students and having the school counselor talk regularly with Angie. Angie has been incredibly resilient through all of this. She told me that learning about her biological origins answered questions she had about herself, why she was so tall when the rest of us are not, and why her eyes are a different color. She said that did not change how she felt about Davis. He is still her dad, but she admitted being curious about her biological history from a medical standpoint. Davis and I talked about it and decided to have a proper genetic health analysis done for Angie. The results showed that she has a slightly elevated risk of certain conditions that do not appear in either of our families. This information is useful for her future medical care. So at least, something positive came out of this situation. Meanwhile, Davis has been struggling. He puts on a brave face for the children, but I have heard him crying in the shower. One night, he asked me if I had ever wondered what our life would have been like if the attack had not happened. I told him I did not allow myself to think about that because it would mean a life without Angie, and I could not imagine that. Davis nodded and said, "She is my daughter." DNA does not change that, but I hate that man, the one who hurt you, and I hate that my mother made Angie feel like she does not belong to our family. We take it day by day. The children seem to be adapting. Angie and Davis went camping last weekend, something they have done since she was little. Jack has been protecting Angie at school, and Sammy, who does not understand the whole situation, has been asking fewer questions as the home returns to some normality. Karen continues to try to contact us through different family members, but we have stood firm in our decision to keep her out of our lives. Some days are harder than others, but we are getting through it together. Update 2. Approximately 3 weeks after my last post, we received a letter from a lawyer representing Karen. The letter demanded grandparent visitation rights with the 3 children, claiming that our sudden termination of Karen's relationship with her grandchildren was harming them. Davis and I consulted with a lawyer specializing in family law. She informed us that, in our state, grandparents can petition for visitation rights under certain circumstances, but they must prove that the loss of contact with the grandparent would cause harm to the child's well-being. The lawyer advised us to document all of Karen's harmful actions, including the unauthorized DNA test and the disclosure of private information that led to Angie being harassed. The situation became even more complicated when we discovered that Karen had been contacting Angie through a school friend's phone. Angie had not told us because she did not want to make things worse. Karen had been telling Angie that Davis and I were being unfair, that she had a right to see her grandmother, and that she should convince us to allow her back into our lives. Angie finally showed us the messages, after Karen suggested meeting secretly at a mall. Angie felt uncomfortable with the idea, but she felt guilty about the situation. We assured Angie that she had done nothing wrong and that Karen's behavior was inappropriate. We arranged another meeting with the school to explain the new development. They were very supportive and helped ensure that students knew not to pass messages or phones to Angie from her grandmother. Then, something unexpected happened. Mike, Davis's brother, came to our house one night. He asked to speak with Davis and me. Once we were alone, Mike broke down. He apologized for his role in the situation, admitting that he had helped Karen obtain the DNA samples. Karen had convinced him that she only wanted to confirm that Davis was the father of all 3 children to reassure herself, after overhearing the conversation in her sleep. Mike said he never imagined that Karen would reveal the results in the way she did. He thought that if the test showed Davis was not Angie's father, Karen would discuss it first in private with him. Mike had been consumed by guilt since everything happened. Davis was furious with his brother. He asked how Mike could betray our trust in that way. Mike did not have a good answer, except that his mother had always known how to manipulate him. He had always sought her approval. Despite his anger, Davis told Mike that he appreciated the honesty. Mike offered to sign a statement about Karen's actions for our lawyer, which could help in our case if Karen pursued legal action for grandparent visitation rights. A week later, we received notice that Karen had formally filed a petition for grandparent visitation rights. Our lawyer advised us that the case was not strong, but we would have to appear in court. The hearing was scheduled for a month later. During that time, Karen intensified her campaign to paint herself as a victim. She contacted more family members and friends, telling them that we were keeping her away from her grandchildren over an honest mistake. She claimed that she was only trying to protect her son from a wife who had lied to him for years. The day before the court hearing, we received a surprising phone call. It was Karen's pastor. He introduced himself and explained that Karen had been sharing her version of events with the church community. However, after hearing rumors that Angie was being harassed due to information originating from her prayer group, he became concerned. The pastor called to apologize for the role his congregation might have played in spreading harmful information. He also mentioned that, after speaking extensively with Karen, he was worried about her inability to recognize the harm she had caused. He offered to be a character witness for us if necessary, saying that, while he tried to support all members of his congregation, he could not condone actions that harmed innocent children. We thanked him, but said we hoped it would not be necessary to involve him. The court hearing was brief. Karen appeared with her own lawyer, who argued that she had had a loving relationship with her grandchildren for years, before we abruptly cut off contact. Karen testified that she made a mistake out of concern for her son, but that her intentions were good. When our lawyer presented evidence of Karen's actions, the judge's expression became increasingly serious. Angie had written a statement that was submitted to the court. She stated that, Although she had loved her grandmother, she now felt betrayed and unsafe around her. She described how Karen's actions had led to harassment and how Karen had tried to manipulate her into having secret meetings. The judge ruled against Karen's petition, saying that her actions showed a disregard for the children's well-being. He issued a temporary restraining order, preventing Karen from contacting any of us for 6 months, after which the situation would be reevaluated. Karen broke down in the courtroom. As we were leaving, she screamed at Davis, asking how he could do this to his own mother. Davis did not respond. Outside the court, Mike was waiting for us. Davis told Mike to make sure Karen understood that if she continued spreading lies or trying to contact us, we would take more permanent legal action. That night, Davis and I talked about how the situation had affected our family. Despite the stress and pain, we agreed that, in a way, it had brought us closer. The bond between Angie and Davis had strengthened, as he had shown maturity beyond his years in supporting his sister. Even Sammy seemed to understand, in her 8-year-old way, that family is about love and protection, not just blood. Davis admitted something he had been keeping to himself. For years, he had occasionally thought about Angie's paternity, but he had pushed those thoughts away. The DNA test results, although shocking in how they were revealed, also brought a strange sense of clarity. The question that had been lingering in his mind was answered. Angie was not biologically his daughter, but that did not change how he felt about her. If anything, it made their relationship more special because it was chosen, not dictated by genetics. We are still healing, but every day is a little easier. Angie's school situation has improved. The harassment stopped after the school's intervention, and Angie has found support among her true friends who do not care about her origins. As for Karen, we have not heard from her directly since the court hearing. Mike tells us that she is still upset, but she seems to finally understand that her actions have consequences. Whether our relationship with her can ever be repaired remains to be seen. For now, we are focusing on healing our family. Update 3. It has been 6 months since my last update, and we know you want to know about our situation, especially with the restraining order. The temporary restraining order expired last month. In the days leading up to its expiration, Davis and I discussed what to do next. We decided not to request an extension, unless Karen tried to contact us again. It has been quiet during this time, and we saw no reason to ask for another one. 2 weeks after the order expired, we received a letter from Karen. This time it was not sent through a lawyer, just a regular envelope with her handwriting. Inside was a handwritten letter addressed to both of us. Unlike her previous attempts at communication, this letter contained no justifications or excuses. Karen acknowledged that what she did was wrong on every level. She wrote that she had been seeing a therapist since the court hearing, which had helped her recognize her controlling behavior and lack of boundaries. Karen wrote that, although she hoped that one day we could allow her back into our lives, she understood if that never happened. She said she would respect our decision in any case. The most significant part of the letter was addressed to Angie. Karen asked if we could convey her apology to Angie. She took full responsibility for the pain she caused and acknowledged that she had betrayed Angie's trust in an unforgivable way. Davis and I discussed the letter for several days before deciding how to respond. We agreed to show the letter to Angie and let her decide if she wanted any kind of contact with her grandmother. Angie read the letter carefully. She said nothing for a while after reading it. Then she asked if Karen had really been going to therapy or if this was just another attempt to manipulate us. It was a fair question and we did not have an answer. Angie decided that she was not ready for Karen to return to her life. She said maybe someday, but not now. She asked me if she could write a response to Karen, saying that she appreciated the apology but needed more time and space. I wrote the letter as Angie asked. We sent it a week ago and have not received a response from Karen yet. Meanwhile, our family has settled into a new normal. Angie will graduate from high school in a few months and has been accepted to several universities. She is excited to study biology, an interest that developed in part from learning about her genetic origin. Davis and Angie completed a project they had been working on for years, restoring an old motorcycle. They rode it for the first time last weekend, with Angie driving and Davis on the back. Seeing him come home, laughing and talking about the ride, reinforced what we already knew. Their bond has nothing to do with DNA. Jack has become more outspoken in protecting his family. When a distant relative made an insensitive comment about the situation at a recent family gathering, Jack calmly told them that his sister's origins were no one's business, and that his family was off-limits for gossip. Sammy, now 9 years old, has stopped asking questions about why we no longer see Grandma Karen. She has accepted our explanation that sometimes adults make mistakes that cannot be easily fixed. Mike and Davis have slowly rebuilt their relationship. Mike has made efforts to show his loyalty to us, and not to Karen, even refusing to attend family events where Karen planned to discuss our situation. He admits that he still sees his mother occasionally, but he does not talk about us with her. As for me, I have started volunteering at a support center for assault survivors. The DNA test revelation forced me to confront aspects of my trauma that I had set aside for years. Working with others who understand has been healing in ways I did not expect. Davis and I celebrated our 24th wedding anniversary last month. We did not do anything extravagant, just a dinner at home with the children. After the children went to bed, Davis gave me a card that said, "Thank you for our family." Simple words that meant everything. I do not know if we will ever have a relationship with Karen again. Maybe time will heal these wounds, or maybe some breaks cannot be repaired. What matters is that our family, Davis, Angie, Jack, Sammy, and I remain intact. We have weathered this storm together, and I believe we have come out stronger for it. Angie said something the other day that stayed with me. She said, "When people ask about my family, I tell them I have a mom and a dad who chose me, a brother who defends me, and a little sister who looks up to me. That is what matters." After crying for a while over how beautiful what she said was, I could only think that she is so right. That is what matters. Update 4. I hope everyone is well. Our family is doing very well, although some things have happened. To start, Sammy now knows the story about his sister. After finally turning 10 years old, we decided it was a good time to tell him. He has asked some questions, but he seems to understand. He has also talked with Angie, and they have had their own sibling conversation, which has helped. Angie has been in college for a while, and everything indicates that she will end up studying biology at the rate she is going. She has not changed her mind. As long as that makes her happy, it will make all of us happy. Now, the reasons I have written again have to do with my mother-in-law. Who else could it be? A while ago, while Angie was in college, Karen started harassing her again. Do you remember how Karen was supposedly going to therapy? Either it is not working or it was a lie. In any case, both Angie and we had decided to maintain zero contact with her. But she started harassing her through messages, and then through emails when she saw that she was not responding to her messages. It was a new number because Angie had the previous one blocked, but she introduced herself as her grandmother in the first message, and that was enough to block her again. In that first message, she said that now that she was away from our influence, they could get in touch and have a relationship again. But Angie realized this manipulation and blocked her. She probably called, but then the emails came. And they were more of the same, saying, "Do not let your parents' manipulation continue to affect you," and things like that. I do not know why she has become so obsessed with Angie, but our best guesses have to do with what she did to Angie being what triggered this, or that she simply cannot do the same with her other grandchildren, because she knows we could intervene. Angie has blocked her from everywhere and hopes that is the end of it. At least in the last 2 months, there have been no signs of her. We have discussed it with the lawyer, but unless she does something wrong again, we cannot request a restraining order just for that. There is still the possibility of suing her for the things she said about Angie, which led to her being harassed at school. But just like back then, we talked with Angie to see her opinion on suing her, and she said no. She did not want the lawsuit to make things bigger and for people to keep talking about it. She wanted the topic to end as soon as possible. So we have respected her decision. As for Karen, luckily everyone has stayed away from her or has kept us away from her. The only one who has some contact so far is Davis, but only because he has run into her at some family event, and only because he did not know she would attend. She has told him that she feels sad because her children do not speak to her, and part of the family treats her like trash. I do not see anything wrong with treating her like trash if that is what she is. Davis thinks it is more manipulation. And together with what she did to Angie, we think the same. She was even kicked out of one of those events because Davis did not want to listen to her and she was making everyone nervous. They have revoked her invitation to that house for future gatherings. We still maintain, especially Davis, our firm decision to stay away from her. She has not shown that she is remorseful or that she has worked on anything, she just remains just as manipulative. And as such, we do not feel the slightest bit sorry that the family has sidelined her. That would be all.